at the freedom that the states got post 1991 for working on their own development areas. The major shift came. Till then, the location of the industry, license, and all those things were decided by the center. The states had very little leeway to do this. And once that liberalization came, many of the states were already developed, like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamilnadu, or Karnataka, and others could gallop ahead, devise their own plan, and do it. One welcome change that has taken place in recent time, I notice, is the Hindi states, which have been lagging far behind. They have been pulling back the development agenda of the country, what they were described as the BIMARU states, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh. A very positive development I noticed in recent years, last 3 or 4 years, is a remarkable change in their economic performance. And that is giving us a lot of hope on the things to come, because if they are able to grow well as in the other states, they can pull the whole economy forward. I thought it's a very welcome development, and I cite only 2 or 3 instances in regard to, say, the agriculture sector. For long, these states had abundance of water resources, unlike, say, Tamilnadu or Maharashtra. There are so many perennial rivers. They also had huge population to support this. But unfortunately, they were not well organized. They were also dissipating their energies. The figures of the last 3-4 years are giving us enormous hope and enormous optimism for this. I said just 2 instances. Madhya Pradesh has been recording consistently double-digit growth in agriculture over the last about 7-8 years. Last year, it bet both UP and Punjab in terms of production of wheat. More than 30 million tons of wheat was produced, by more than 1/4 of the total production. And Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan are way ahead in terms of the production of pulses. We also have the serious problem of importing pulses, that we are not able to stabilize pulses production and reach self-sufficiency. In the last couple of years, that has happened. It's a remarkable change, because Sam Petroda had a special mission for it, but nothing much could happen. So this one welcome change, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh are able today to step up substantially production of pulses. More interesting was the assurance we are getting in terms of sugarcane. Sugarcane production was lagging behind. They are heavily dependent on monsoon, and Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, these are all monsoon-dependent states. We had peaks and troughs in subsequent several years. The last 3 years, UP has done enormous work in selecting new varieties of cane. They increased the yield from about 22 tons to 35 tons per acre. More than a 50% jump in a matter of 2 years. And they have also increased the recovery from around 10% to 11.5%. For the first time, we have reached a stage of becoming the largest producer of sugar. One more change the government has brought is to use sugar production for producing ethanol, like what Brazil does. Like Brazil, they are now giving a policy whereby you need not produce sugar. You can convert a good portion of sugar production to ethanol and use that to power your automobiles. And these are silently taking place. And add to this, the last 2 or 3 years, these states have also drastically amended the Labor Acts, Factories Act and all. And they have already a large complement of labor which is working in other states like Gujarat or Maharashtra or Delhi or Tamil Nadu. So if they are also able to improve the working of their industry, manufacturing, for which they have huge land surface available, other infrastructure available, there's power now available uniformly well all over the country. Those type of deterrents will not affect them. Therefore, I thought I will start my observations on this welcome change in what we once called the BIMARU states. I am leading to that. What is the state of the state's finances? I had a discussion with the CSI a few days back. And a major change has been taking place in the whole aspect of fiscal administration. Most of the states are struggling with their budgets, to meet their budgets. With the competitive population we are seeing, we are not able to see much surpluses generated by most of these states for investment on development purposes. Today, most of the development work is met by the center, whether it relates to housing, whether it relates to infrastructure, whether it relates to piped water supply, or it relates to a toilet in every house. I was looking closely at the Tamil Nadu's budget itself. The budget, Tamil Nadu is a fairly well-managed state in terms of its fiscal administration. But over the last few years, we are having very serious problems in terms of managing this budget. Look at this particular figure, for example. Our total revenue in 1920, for example, was in the region of about 180,000 crore. But our total, this is including the center's transfer also, our expenditures are in the region of about 235,000 crore. There is a huge deficit which we are not able to make up. And these three, what you call the welfare measures, are eating almost the entire expenditure, accounting for the entire expenditure. The 235 crore almost totally eaten by, number one, the welfare measures, what we call the freebies. The various welfare measures they are giving, they add to something about 110,000 crore. Salaries and wages account for another about 100,000 crore. We have about 35,000 crore of interest payments. These three add up to almost 235,000 crore, which account for the entire thing. We don't have any money for any development mentioning. Now look at the type of promises made by the election platform of the various political parties. I made a rough calculation of what it would mean to translate the freebies announced by, the free welfare measures announced by AIDMK, for instance. They are promising for every household, every ration card holder, a free washing machine, taking the price at about 10,000 rupees for 2.4 crore card holders. It adds to 24,000 crore. 1,500 crore for each family, women of the household for 2.4 crore cards for 36,000 crore. And add the 6 cylinders they are offering free. They add up to another about 10,000 crore. Other freebies, housing and other items add to another 10,000 crore. These all together add to something about 80,000 crore on a very rough estimate. And do we have enough scope for borrowing? The total borrowings are already in excess of 400,000 crore. The state budget for as at the end of 31st March 2021. And for the current year's projection, they expected to take it to about 571,000 crore because of the COVID, other expenses, healthcare and other expenses. And the additional provision they are given for increased FD limit. I mean the fiscal deficit limit, taking it to around 4%. It adds up to 571,000 crore. So, in the another 3 years, you say there is going to be a big jump in your interest of pay and also payment of a little portion of your interest, capital. So, there is absolutely no leeway available for the state. And mind you, Tamil Nadu is one of the well-organized states. The third problem that's a concern for our administrators, finance administrators, relates to the recommendation of the 15th Finance Commission. The 15th Finance Commission stipulates, the type of transfers they have been recommending that has been affecting developed states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and others. Even the 14th Finance Commission has given us a lot of problems. It drastically reduced the flow of funds from the center. Now 15th continues with that because they are giving a greater weightage for population, for level of poverty, and now they have added another factor of the weightage they are giving for the proper implementation of the national policies. Like, for example, what they do in regard to the electricity board reforms, or for that matter, what they do in terms of some of the freebies they are giving. The direct benefit transfer example, are we using it effectively for all the purposes? So these are all going to result in a lot of conflict between center and states which are not in line with the center in terms of administration.